So, guys, I don't know if a lot of men are struggling with this nowadays, or if it's just me, but it's really hard. I think for me, I've been struggling with trying to find what's my purpose in life. People say, find your purpose, find your passion. You hear this said a thousand different ways. Um, and I feel like my whole life I have been chasing different outcomes, um, whether that's financial outcome, happiness outcome. Um, and it's always led me down this path of just still wanting more. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing to want to always be better and always um, work hard and get more than what you have. I think that's a good trait. The issue becomes when you stop living in the moment. Um, Someone said that depression is living in the past, anxiety is living in the future, and happiness living in the moment, something along those lines. And I never thought of myself as having anxiety because I don't think I really understood what it meant. I think it's thrown around a lot these days. I have anxiety, and people make it seem like a really big problem, which it is. I'm not diminishing anxiety, but often what I would do is, oh, my problems aren't that bad. I don't have anxiety, right? Um, but I realize there's different forms of how anxiety takes hold of your life. And always living in the future is a form of anxiety because you're never in the present and there's always some worry about achieving the future that you want. And so today, I really decided that I need to spend some time finding my purpose. And there's a Japanese concept of ikigai. You can look this up. It's about one's purpose. Aristotle has um, some great literature on purpose as well. But from what I read, paraphrasing all of this and summarizing all of this together, your purpose lies at an intersection. The intersection would be between your passions, your gifts and abilities, what can make you money and or make you a living, and what other people need. So what serves other people. So if you where all those four things meet is where your purpose lies. And so I asked myself, what are my gifts? What are my abilities? What are my passions? What all these things? Because sometimes I think we don't realize the gifts we have, at least for myself, because I was born with certain gifts or certain abilities, just like you were. Um, I often forget that they might be unique to me, right? I often forget other people might not have those skills and abilities, right? And so I often go through life thinking, "Oh, this is normal. Everyone can do this," which in fact is not true at all. They're gifts for a reason, right? Not everybody can do them. And so what I did was I actually sent like 20, 15 or 20 of my closest friends, family, people that know me the best, and asked them a few questions. I'll read them to you, actually. So it's 7 questions about what do they think my gifts are. And so the first question is, what do you think I'm naturally good at that I might not notice? Now, that I might not notice is the key here, because we all know some things that we're good at. Um, but I think if we break them down one more level deeper, um, there is something bigger there. For example, um, I had a couple of friends ask me, hey, can you do this for me as well? Can you answer these questions back? I said, yeah, of course. So I have a friend that's a really good listener, and he is just the guy that makes you feel so comfortable to talk to. Um, he's not judging, and you're able to be vulnerable with him, like a therapist, right? And I told him, I think you're naturally good at being a listener, being someone who makes people feel cared for. I believe you already know that. So if I go one layer deeper, I'll suggest that you're very good at breaking down people's emotional walls and barriers. Now, I think that gives him much more context um, in his skill, and not just the result of his skill or his gift, right? So the result of his gift is that people open up, people feel comfortable to talk to him. But the gift itself is that he can break people's emotional walls and barriers down very easily. Um, and with that information, you can do a lot more things with. That can translate to a lot of different um, skills. So that's question one. Question two, when have you seen me at my best? What was I doing? Another powerful question. What was I doing when I was at my best? When I was at my flow state? When I was just locked in? What was I doing? Was I with my family? Was I hosting a party? Was I giving a speech? Was I working? What was I doing? Was I just telling jokes? Who knows? Was I at the gym? What was I doing when you've seen me at my best? Three, what strengths or qualities do you believe make me stand out? Um, Number four, in what ways have I helped or positively impacted you or others? A great question, because sometimes we don't realize how many things we do for people without knowing we did them, or how greatly our actions and our words impact people we love without knowing it, right? We might think we're just giving a small bit of encouragement, but sometimes that sticks with people for a lot longer than we think. Um, so that's a really powerful one. Five, what do you think comes easily to me that others might find challenging? Now, this is especially good because if they can give you a different answer than the first one, it makes it even more powerful, because it's they see this skill as something most people find challenging. For example, public speaking. If you are if a friend thinks that public speaking comes easily to you, that's a huge compliment, because that is something most people are petrified to do, including myself. I've done it. People might say I'm good at it, um, but it scares me to death every time. I get anxiety, I get panic attacks, but I just force myself to do it. For example, like a best man speech at my friend's wedding. I was so nervous. I did it, and everybody said afterwards how great it was. I didn't feel that way, but I think those skills. This question is very powerful um, to find your talents, um, and you know that if they come challenging to other people, that it's going to be a talent that's in high demand, right? Six, if you had to describe my unique talents in one sentence, what would it be? Now, for example, um, for another friend, I kind of summed up all of his skills. He's a really good problem solver, and he thinks outside of the box on everything. He's one of those guys that just, if you're stuck in a situation, you can't figure your way out, you talk to him and he will have a completely different perspective, something so far out of the box that you won't have heard from anyone else, which is, it's always good. Sometimes it's not maybe what you want to hear, but it's always a fresh perspective. And so for his one sentence of his unique talents, I said, "You're an architect of solving problems with creative thinking." So basically just one punchline that sums up what you think is their talents. And the last question, and this is a fun one. What kinds of activities or roles do you think I thrive in the most? So this could be really helpful for career use because um, the activities that you're doing, the roles that you're taking on translate to jobs. And so um, another example for the friend of mine that's a good listener, I told him a role such as a guidance counselor, I think would be amazing for him. And right now he sells insurance. So um, totally different from what he's doing, and maybe that would make him feel more aligned with his purpose. I don't know, just a suggestion. For the other friend that's a creative out of the box thinker, I suggested him as maybe a consultant to businesses. So I think the goal here is to get a perspective on yourself that you don't have. We're all seen by everybody we know in our life differently. I mean, there are thousands of versions of us out in this world that we don't see, right? When we go to a nice restaurant, wearing a button-up shirt and or a nice dress for the ladies, or we go to McDonald's in our sweatpants, we are the same person, but we're perceived as different people. So everything we do, everywhere we go, every conversation that we have, someone is getting a different version of us or their perceived version. So it's very powerful to ask people that you think know you the best or that are closest to you, friends, family, coworkers, um, to get their perspective on these things, because I think it really opens your eyes to things you haven't thought of about yourself, and vice versa. It cements the things maybe you thought you were good at, but you weren't sure. And maybe it'll give you the confidence to push forward in some of those things. Um, I told a friend about this and he asked me, "Well, are you going to ask them about your flaws?" And I said, "No. I mean, I'm not right now this is about finding our purpose, not our flaws." And we all do have flaws. We all have areas that we lack, right? But that does not mean we are lacking. We're not going to find our purpose by looking at the things we are lacking at or the skills that we don't have. We're going to find our purpose again at that intersection. I think as a man, when we're not living aligned with our purpose, it can cause so many problems in our life. Anxiety, depression, addiction to whatever. Um, and and that trickles to everyone around us. And if you're in a relationship and you don't feel aligned with your purpose, your partner will feel that and they will suffer from that. And I know this from experience. You will not be giving your partner the best you. You'll not be giving your family the best you. And most of all, you're not giving yourself the best you, because we only get one shot at this. And to spend our life not living our purpose, what are we doing here? So I encourage you guys, take these questions. I'll put them in the description below. Send it to some family members, and hopefully this helps you guys. Um, hopefully it helps me as well, because I'm on this journey with you. Um, be well.